stomach bugs or something. But EDG on the blue side, Wordley over on the red, and Annie Threshold Wordley's first two bans really targeting Mako there.
So this quarterfinal and semi-final stage is played over 6 days, so definitely going to have to watch those health concerns there, you and Pawn, if they want to be able to get both of those guys back into the lineup. It is a weakened lineup, but you really seamlessly slotted in when we saw him against World Elite. So maybe not too much cause for concern. And again, another player with playoffs experience. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches when you can call on the likes of you from your bench to replace a top talent.
Yeah, a strong player, was always a good anchor for his team, was described once as the soul of EDG, at least in their 2014 lineup. So bringing some of that very solid play still back there in the mid side, as EDG again have lost 3 bans, it seems like, in World Elite. Going to go with their last one and see what they leave EDG for first pick.
So that has to suggest to me that Sion will make it through pick and ban. I don't think EDG will snap that off with their first pick, and you know Aluka is waiting there to pick it up. Sometimes he prioritizes the Maokai higher, but given that 5-0 record, I have to think he can go and drive that unstoppable onslaught to victory for EDG.
Might even get the Maokai picked up here by EDG as well, as Civ is the last ban there for World Elite, which of course would leave open the Sion. Now Sikora having a bit of fun, flashing some Zed and then some Bard, and now some Vel'Koz. Clearly entertaining everyone, but we don't know what the first pick's going to be. With 3 bans taken out, there's a lot of stuff open.
I mean, all junglers available, even Rek'Sai, who's the highest ban champion in the LPL, 56% ban rate in regular season play for that Rek'Sai. So lots of things to consider. We're just mousing over some interesting champions. Lulu, of course, the cornerstone of many different compositions. It's not a surprising takeaway. Again, we're not clear what role that will go into. Yu does have a flair for the wave clear. Koro can play that champion at the top. Mako doesn't necessarily fit his MO, loves the Annie and Thresh in particular, but it could be in either role.
Yeah, very versatile, very flexible. It's part of the reason Lulu's been quite a popular first pick, especially recently in World Elite. Have a lot of champions to consider. What does Spirit want? Do they want to take Nautilus away? We've got the Sion, of course, still hanging out. Maybe World Elite just think, okay, it wasn't banned. They probably don't play it. We can leave it open, but World Elite going to have to carefully consider their 2 picks. And in general, the red sides look good, and it's Nautilus, Nunu, their first 2.
And you have to feel that's Conan on a comfort champ. He's already shown that he can play that Nautilus in the support role. And Spirit takes away the Nunu from Clearlove. 12 games of Nunu, 11-1. Okay, remember, they've won 38 out of their 44 games. Maybe that's not impressive to you. A 20.3 KDA on Nunu. How many times have we seen Jinx Nunu in particular running around for EDG, diving turrets, setting up def to carry? It's been a very popular pick. The Gragas certainly been in meta, but we actually haven't seen Clearlove pull that out yet.
No, we've seen a lot of junglers here in the LPL player, but Clearlove's been all Nunu recently. With that taken away, we do have Urgot actually locked in there for EDG, and they will take Gragas as well, so really playing to the patch in this first game.
But again, very, very flexible. Of course, we've seen mostly 2v2 Urgot. I hesitate to call him an AD carry, but in the AD carry role, in lieu of a marksman, we've seen plenty of Urgot in the bottom lane, but we've got Lulu also. It could be the Lulu Urgot lane for just the ultimate harass lane, or there could be a lot of flexibilities going on. And there's the Sion hover. You know the Chinese fans are happy because everyone loves to see Aluka on his trademark Sion.
Fantastic Sion player, and would make sense for them to take it away here. I wonder if Mystic feels safe taking Jinx here. It would working with the Nunu. It's a little awkward potentially against the Urgot, and as a result, they're going to flush a couple of other champions, give World Elite a few more seconds to make their decision, and they have settled on it. It seems like Sion Lucian are their 3rd and 4th.
I guess they just think that Jinx is a bit too risky coming through. They have undefeated record on Jinx so far here. Does Mystic. It's been a very powerful hyper carry pick. It'll help you DPS down the Urgot, who even himself will be quite tanky into the late game. Usually favors the Frozen Heart to get him towards that 40% CDR, but that's the lock-in. And EDG, they're left with, at least as far as we can tell, an AD carry and a top laner to consider, but we still have to account for Lulu and Urgot.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Lots of flex picks here, but of course, on the blue side, do have to complete their draft now, so going through quite a number of picks here. Mako currently hovering on the John, and it looks like we are going to move quite a bit around here, actually. EDG take their time, but Korra going to take out the Hecarim. Mako switches out to Braum, though, and that means Lulu mid, I believe, and Urgot there played for def.
So Yu returns to the wave clear. That's what he's left with. Interesting to see Braum twice in one day after seeing him so sparingly during the regular season. We saw maybe, what, 3 or 4 Braums the whole 264-game season, and suddenly see 2 in a day. Hecarim I really like. Of all the top lane Smite teleport champions, he seems to be the strongest, just because, again, any AD carry, whether you have an escape or not, the threat of the the onslaught of shadows, apologies, we do have an unstoppable onslaught in this game, but the onslaught of shadows into the challenging smite, doing a huge burst of damage with the Trinity Force and then negating AD carry damage, that seems to be the popular choice in World Elite.
Yeah, rounded out with a Vladimir, which makes sense. It's been Xie's most played champion. I think has maybe 4 or even 5 games in a row on the champion at this stage of the game. And as we round out the comps, World Elite looking like they're playing to comfort once again here. Pretty much everyone is on a trademark champion, especially Aluka with the Scion. And look over at EDG, I see a lot of popular 5.6 champions, but I'm always going to say with Urgot Papa Smithy, are they lacking for damage?
You never really know when you look at a lineup like this. It is Lulu Urgot, so you don't necessarily have a hyper carry to baby up. It's definitely not a Juggernaut coming through. There's a lot of mid-game power, though, and maybe they have to look to the top lane for damage in the late game. Maybe they have to look to the Hecarim. Their initiation is just obscenely strong. We're going to start seeing the members coming through, but we start with Hecarim. He's no slouch for initiation.
No Scion there as well. Both big initiators as Clearlove versus Spirit going to take Gragas and Nunu. Very popular jungles in, and there's some wave clear in the mid lane. Lulu up against Vladimir.
But Lulu Hecarim, we're talking about the onslaught of shadows into the potential wild growth, and Deft has the swap available also, that suppression initiation. The laning phase might be the big discussion here, especially in the bottom lane, because Urgot always want to get ahead and hold down your enemy carry, because there will be a point, whether it's 30 minutes, whether it's 25 minutes, whether it's 40 minutes, where you have to feel like, in terms of teamfight damage, Lucian is going to outscale Urgot.
Yeah, you think so, and Braum there as well, of course, rounding it out, along with the supporter list. Lots of engage here. Again, not that much damage going on potentially, especially on EDG's side, but lots of picks and initiations for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be top lane damage coming through from EDG, and then when you're talking about World Elite, they do have Vladimir Lucian, quite a potent duo. It's going to be an exciting one. You just have to think that EDG are looking for a big snowball in the mid game.
Yeah, we'll see how I can get done in game 1 as we're about to get straight onto the Rift. And welcome onto the Rift here for our first game between EDG and World Elite. You can hear the fans. These are two very popular teams, Papa Smithy.
World Elite, of course, one of the legacy organizations in Chinese esports. Very, very popular. EDG split away from World Elite. We didn't even talk about the storyline of how EDG were conceived as a team, splitting away. Of course, Clearlove, one of the most famous World Elite members of all time, was on that lineup that won IPL 5 that really dominated 2012. We're a long time removed from that stage, but the fans don't forget, and it's still a grudge matchup.
No, with FC's Yefratar and Clearlove, the only original member of that very well-known World Elite lineup, and I think they spotted Mystic there. Ward being put down by Mako and Deft, and they are lane swapping, I think.
We have to expect that World Elite are looking to get away from the 2v2, and EDG are looking to opt into the 2v2. Even with a melee support like Braum, Urgot Braum can do so much damage. And again, you're adding in an extra CC at early levels. If they're able to proc that Braum passive and just all the Acid Hunters are registered, we're talking kill pressure level 2, level 3 coming through. Such a fierce lineup coming through. But it's actually EDG that opt into the swap. I don't know if they have any extra information. You have to think that Lucian, given that he was hanging around the river, was looking for a swap. But this is one of the things that have come out. It's less about 2v2 matchups that people are dodging, and sometimes it's just about opening up the teleport smite top laner to start getting some camps and have kind of an easier transition into the mid game.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me, is that when we used to see a lot of this jungle following it, we kind of got a bit worse. So Luca does kill himself on the Raptor camp, will take that out nice and quickly with his passive ticking away. But Smite in the top lanes really opened up a lot of creative early game stuff here. Conan even checking for the buff, but it's already been taken away.
I mean, the thing about Hecarim is ever since we saw him brought out by Amazing J, Ignite, Teleport, No Flash, he's an obvious source for ganks. You want to gank him before level 6, before he gets the onslaught of shadows. So if you throw the Smite on and he can happily just pop out of lane, pick up monsters whenever he's overextended, then pop back into lane, he's actually incentivized to go into a 1v2 just because he's going to get more regular, more safe farm than if he was in a 1v1. It's kind of crazy to think. And his jungle follow with double Smite's going to be hell fast.
Yeah, nice 3 buff here from EDG. That explains some of the swap as well. They've got enough smites, they might as well be able to do this. Cora even used his early, actually taking the buff, so they both have reds now to EDG.
And suddenly Vladimir needs to be very scared.
Yeah, she is in a good spot, but EDG are going to walk back to their blue buff, and poor Nunu's going to be with that one. But Spirit, nice adaptation with Aluka doing a 3-minute dragon.
And don't adjust your set. There is no smite on Aluka, but of course, Sion is very tanky. Earlier in the season, we saw a Sion dying at level 1 to the dragon to pick it up. Probably not going to be any death coming through between the Consume and Smite. And this is a very cute adaptation by World Elite They understood that they controlled the bottom side of this map. Dragon, you'd expect it at maybe 5 minutes, but 3.5, that's what Nunu opens up for you.
Yeah, it really does. So good stuff there coming through from World Elite. Spirit will be down a buff, which is not ideal, and EDG did a good job of cleaning out this side of the jungle that Aluka and Spirit are currently walking through. But you know what that means? You might just have a fast push.
But it is a 3 buff coming through from EDG, you have to think, just because, again, they were so fast with the double smite to be able to pick up their own red, then head over for the blue and the enemy red. I believe they're actually spotted out by the minion wave. You see pings coming through. So that's extra information for EDG.
Yeah, tried to be sneaky there, sneak through the Krugs and not be caught there, but the minion wave just caught them in the spot they were standing. They'll take them away, of course. They'll get the Krugs and possibly look to rotate, maybe catching someone in transition, but Clearlove and Koro sticking together as they move towards the bottom side.
I mean, it's not just Clearlove and Koro. Maker's also bringing up the rear. They understand they cannot hope to send 2 low-level members to lane to a potential 4-man turret dive, given that 2 members were already shown in the enemy jungle. So a lot of pressure coming through, and the Mako comes. He has the wards, of course, and can try and set up a situation where Koro can get some safe early farm.
Clearlove, they're going to walk back to his Raptors. Now he actually did have a Lucas spot him out there, but he'll be able to take them away safely. Koro actually level 3 now after all that stuff. And we see Lucian and Nautilus actually leaving the lane, possibly wanting to swap back.
I feel like this start, the fact that EDG had to navigate away, to set up their Hecarim carry, they had to navigate away from the 2v2 that you have to think Urgot Braum would have definitely favored. You worry that in the mid game, if Koro in particular doesn't get going, then that no damage reality of the late game is very real. You have to rely on Hecarim to do so much work. They've used multiple resources to set him up. So I feel like World Elite, Spirit in particular, need to target out this horse, because in the late game, it feels like it's going to be all about Hecarim for damage.
And Mako level 1 as well. That's been the biggest thing for EDG. They used him for a lot of safety around the 3 buff that they started, but he's even going to freeze the wave here, and that's so dangerous against Mystic.
Yeah, he has his Q schedule, so doesn't have the ability to use the E and just the Unbreakable and just try and hold the minion wave that way. Still manages to freeze and probably saves at least 1 CS for Def.
It does at level 2 now there as well. Def will get some good CS as a result here in level 4. Urgot with a tier and a flask. That's the sort of situation you want. Urgot potentially vulnerable in the very early levels, but right now super comfortable.
And we've seen a lot of Urgots forced to stay in lane. Of course, AD carries want to stay in lane until they pick up a big item like the BF sword, but because of the lane swaps and because Mako did a fairly admirable job holding the lane, getting back for the tier just means that Mana Moon and Muramana transformation in particular is going to hit a better part time. We're looking at close to 21, 22 minutes for the Muramana completion.
And as a result, I can't for the life of me wonder why World Elite wanted to swap back to the top lane.
That's a good question. I mean, with Dragon, they don't necessarily have to opt into the 1v2. So in this situation, you think they're getting more by going to 2v2. They have a pickaxe, so perhaps that's an item time where they can look to force a gank. And with Spirit paying attention to top, these points might all be related.
We'll have to have a look here. Clearlove actually there as well. Gets the knock up onto Conan. Stun there as well from the Braum passive as Def going in, but Mystic, good damage. Actually gets exhausted. E missed there by Def as he's forced to heal and use his shield. Now Aluka going to port in Spirits here as well. Mako gets grabbed by the Dredge line and damage still coming through. There are 8 members, in the top side right now as Koro has joined in on the Hecarim. Spirit getting low as a result, getting aggressive forward, wants the kill so bad, but can't quite find it, is getting low. Urgot gets first blood, Sion gets the next onto Hecarim, but Conan's going to go down as well. No, just lives as Def flashes forward, but doesn't get the kill, and you snipes him with a little lance off to the side. Aluka's going to knock him up, but it's a 2-for-1 for EDG.
9 men in the top. I thought EDG would pay because Hecarim was so much slower to react with his teleport than Aluka, who was there earlier, but surprisingly, you is the one that reacts to the top lane. Remember, Vladimir, he has Ghost. He could just Ghost to the top. If that was Dade, you know he would have been there. So the fact that Gia didn't react, you have to hope he picked up a lot of CS in the mid lane to make up for the fact that the 2-for-1 goes for EDG.
And you look down right now, just got a shop in, did Xie, and only 6 CS ahead, so that lane is basically neutralized after that, and a big mess there, but EDG bring 1 more person, and it apparently makes all the difference.
But now that they've swapped Aluka to the top, you have to realize, so I mean, again, your question of why Lucian Norris were top is a bit of a puzzler. Maybe just exiting lane, it was one of those timing-related things. But they're swapping back to the bottom lane. Urgot, crucially, after all those shenanigans, doesn't have any mana, so doesn't really have any lane control whatsoever against Sion. He, in particular, needs to shop. Otherwise, Sion should get fairly low harass coming his way and just pick up free CS.
Well, you can see Koro's actually continuing to jungle, taking away the Krugs. Level 6 now on the Hecarim, with a machete plus the Balmy Cinder. So looking like a jungler right now, actually beating out Clearlove for the early item pickup.
And he's 5 CS up on a Sion, even though Sion has masses of ranged wave clear. We always talked about especially early in the season. 1v2, you always favor Sion over basically any other laner, barring maybe Maokai, because he has so much ranged wave here that he can pick up creeps that nobody else can. Hecarim, as a 175 range melee champion, moves up to 350 range with the Rampage, struggles to pick up farm in any sort of lane swap, but when you've got the Machete, when you've got Smite, you pick up farm that you wouldn't in any other case. And in the late game, we know how strong Hecarim can go. So if Koro, he's probably really happy, you know, even with the death, with how this early game is going.
And that's been the secret, really, is, you know, in all these lane swap situations, if you just happen to have a smite from the top lane safely, all of a sudden you have more options here. So we've seen a lot of that today already. I'm sure it's going to continue as we move through the LPL playoffs this week. But Deft and Mako are back down to the bottom, and Deft already has a Manamune.
That's a very quick Manamune. Again, the charge time to the Mirror Mana gets earlier. Maybe 20 minutes flat we're talking about. That item will be transformed. And Mystic has to play so defensively. He managed to dash away from the first E, but there'll be the second, there'll be the third, and eventually the damage will register from Urgot.
Yeah, they never stop here as Mako and Deft protecting their turret just. Deft even using the shield just to block them anyway. They're going to freeze them slightly here just before the turret to make sure they can pick them all up. Clearlove going to spot a ward here as well. Does manage to get it down with his sweeper. And Dragon is back up, and Spirit's already started it.
Spirit started the Dragon. This will be the second Dragon if it comes through, but it's in full vision of Clearlove at this point. Actually, only from the barrel dot. They don't have a ward straight on top of it. This will be 4v4 action. There's no teleports available. Yeah,
you here as well. He's quite strong, actually, on the Lulu. Spirit, you have to think, has a secure advantage, but Braum's moving in. Even Koro started rotating down as well because he doesn't have his teleport. Spirit going to get on top of this. Maybe going to try and start a smite battle with Clearlove. Bit dangerous, but Nunu does get it. The ulti comes through. Xie getting whimsied up as well. Mako going to block some shots off with Unbreakable, but Xie gets ignited and runs away.
You have to think EDG have the earlier power spikes. That's why they were opting into at least contesting for the Dragon, but they didn't commit to it. Crucially, Deft wasn't there at the fight, didn't have flash, probably thought he wouldn't get in range of the hyperkinetic position reverser. So they don't engage. World Elite, they pick up basically an uncontested second Dragon. At least they don't have to pay for it through any deaths, and they'll take that.
Yeah, Koro going to chase out a Luca now, though, as well. Quite strong here. It's actually Cinder versus Cinder, so relatively similar as far as combat stats goes. Luca slightly ahead potentially with that cloth armor, but they're matching that as well. I mean, Koro at this point trying to be annoying. This is the other thing. You can actually threaten a buff steal here, and Koro going to chase away Luca.
Yeah, only a level behind. Even with the secure available from the Consume Smite, Spirit's not confident to be able to contest. Xie, once again, is the second person to react, but Spirit, he picks it up.
Yeah, really smart stuff from Spirit. Just calmly walks in, collects it, and Consume Smites it away. So Nunu always the king of securing those buffs as Mystic gets tagged by a chair there. That Braum passive ticking away.
So let's actually return to the level 1. So there was a lane swap initiated by EDG, primarily to set up the Hecarim carry, as we see some nice harass damage coming through from Deft. The reason why I want to bring it up again, though, PhD time, is there's a lot of damage coming through, but no teleports coming.
Mystic is the calling, but yeah, they'll just back away. Mako would actually run out of Unbreakable, so it's smart time to go in, but nothing happening. Not quite yet.
Yeah, the wave control starting to go the way of Xie. Not actually going to be building a Morellonomic on this situation against Vladimir. Only a single Ignite actually being taken. Surprising, you almost always see Ignite being picked up by Mako, but perhaps that's because he's usually on Annie duty. This Vladimir, you have to think, in the late game, there's not a lot of healing reduction available. Again, he's got the pull, he can be so strong in the late. There is a real concern that Xie could outscale this EDG lineup.
We've certainly seen Xie have strong games on the Vlad recently. Koro can't quite dodge the Q, will get knocked up. It's actually quite low to Aluka here, as they've been trading blows on the top side. Aluka with the Ninja Tabi doing nicely there in that situation, but continuing to farm with the Cinder as Koro, he's forced to go back to base.
And your memory definitely responds correctly there, Page Time. She had 3-0 on Vladimir in the regular season, has a 6 KDA, which is above his season KDA. Been one of his comfortable champions. Again, it's come through the meta in patch 5.6 with the lower pressure coming through from the jungler, with the extended team fights where all the consistent damage from the Tides of Blood in particular is registered in the AoE. It's brought Vladimir back into the meta. I mean, coming back to level 1. So they opted out of a 2v2 to set up the Hecarim. That part's fine, but because they're on the blue side and the lane swap takes their duo lane to the top lane, they ceded Dragon control. And you look down this EG lineup, you mentioned in Champion side, the damage is definitely on the low side. It's maybe not critical levels, but it's low. It's not just like a burst lineup. They do have some consistent damage from the Hecarim in particular. Opting out of Dragon control could come back to hurt them, because one of the ways you equalize this situation is strong Dragon control, and it's already 2-0 for World Elite.
Yeah, you can see Clearlove I don't know which enchant that is, but he's going in there as well. Conan getting knocked back as well. Will get stunned up though. Mystic going to pop the passive. Maker's already used his ulti. Cleave going to get him low. Does get the kill with Spirit. Channels the ulti. Def swaps him back in though, and Mako kiting in there just with his passive. Koro's on top of Mystic as Def kills Spirit. Now Koro's going to get the kill as Shie joins in as well. Koro too low. Will for here, you have to think, and does fall to the Vlad, but it's a 3-for-1 trade to EDG.
It's just too much aggression for Wally from Spirit in particular. You saw what happened in that fight. That will be a preview of late game team fights. Koro teleported in and soloed out Mystic. He actually used the challenging smite while Mystic was channeling the culling and took literally no damage and burst him down. The initial burst was half his health, held onto the Onslaught of Shadows till he flashed away. If Hecarim can keep soloing out Lucian, it's just Vladimir for damage. So that's something World Elite need to comp around. But who's going to peel a Hecarim away? Not even Nautilus with all his CC can stop the Onslaught of Shadows.
Yeah, Hecarim's just such a beast when he gets in the backline. That's part of the reason he's been so popular, is that he's kind of Kassadin-esque in how aggressively you can dive in towards your backline. And Skirmisher Saber's kind of given him a new lease on life. Used to be very expensive to get him going, but a little bit cheaper now.
But that's the thing. Before Trinity Force, you just throw the Skirmisher Saber on, you're doing a nice bit of true damage. The enemy's doing 20% less damage. You can't even juke out a vision because, of course, you're revealed for that 6 seconds. It almost feels like a little bit of a faster power spike, and you have so many options now because Skirmisher Saber makes you good at diving the backline. You could throw in the Home Guard boots. Of course, that again makes him so strong every 5 minutes with those Home Guard ganks. If you have those two items, again, you have a pretty big power spike. When you get all three, the Skirmisher Saber into the Home Guard boots, into Trinity Force, you're talking about almost 100 to 0ing an 80 carry in one trade, but definitely over 3 or 4 seconds. In fact, the 6 seconds of Skirmisher Saber, if we're going to put a timeline on, you are so strong at assassinating. So giving an earlier item timing to a Hecarim, that's what Skirmisher Saber has done, and that's the big worry.
Yeah, it's been dangerous here, and I'm curious to see where Koro goes with his build, given the texture of the game. Wouldn't be super surprised to see him go for that Trinity Force, but maybe just get the Fade, see how he feels, and then maybe move it to tank if he has to. But you're right, when that build comes through, that Trinity Force Saber, geez, you're just such a beast.
And that's why there's so many questions. That's the interesting thing, is you're talking about, all right, opt into the Trinity Force. You're adding time onto a game where, at least team comp-wise, you think you're probably going to get outscaled. We're talking about Vladimir and Lucian, who, you know, started life as a lane bully, especially during the course of 2014, now morphed into a strong early lane champion, but also a strong late game champion. He is a tank buster, 4 or 5 items. When you add the Bloodthirster onto the core of Infinity Edge, a Zeal item into Last Whisper. So, I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing about this game. They've given away Dragon Control, but the Hecarim's got going. They want the Hecarim to get the big items, but that gets World Elite's comp closer and closer to the late game. That's the exciting part about Playoff League of Legends, that both teams have clear win conditions, and who can act on them better, that will be the winning team.
We'll have to see now as Dragon, which World Elite have kind of been snowballing just a tad here with the first 2 going to them, is now back alive, and EDG aggressively in position, even started putting their wards down as well. You can tell they want to contest for this, but World Elite in a decent spot to fight back.
Yeah, we're looking at item timings coming through. Lots of early game item timings coming through from Deft. Look at this. It's the Mana Moon into Brutalizer. That's the early game calls, but actually working on a Hex Drinker just to potentially tank up some of the Vladimir damage in particular. Probably going to be sitting on the Absolute Zero as well when he goes for an aggressive swap. So he's doubling down on the mid game. Makes sense coming through from the Urgot in particular. Athene's is completed, but not Merlinomicon. That might come back to haunt EDG, because Vladimir, level 11 now, level 2 on the Hemoplague. You worry that this Vladimir is just going to snowball out of control.
She is very scary, as we did see.
Most CS in the game.
Yeah, looking good. I mean, as we said, his Vlad's been great here. Even the Arm Guard for a bit of extra early combat stats, not too bad. And neither team aggressively getting on top of the Dragon, trying to get vision control around the buff first here. And we've had quite a few people anchored to this Dragon for a little while here. We've got Aluka on the top side. No teleport actually is quite aggressive as Koro going back to shot for a Spectre's Cowl as well. He'll be running back quickly with that E going as well. And EDG, they want to pick you, but World Elite with good vision are not giving it to them.
EDG have crazy pick power, but they don't have the Oracle Sweepers yet. They're only just hitting level 9, so they can't clear out vision. Deft in particular, not level 11, so that ultimate range is still fairly short. It is basically flash reliant at this point, much like an Annie Tibbers, in order to get any sort of initiation. Deft crucially, so we've seen a couple of dissenting Urgot skill maxes. We have seen people still maxing E second, which makes Urgot more of a backline damage dealer. He is maxing the shield second, the Terra Capacitator. So you can tell he wants to opt into a fight, and World Elite, smartly, they don't look into it. Infinity Edge Lucian just wouldn't be able to hold up to all the mid-game from Urgot, so they say, all right, and they give away Dragon Control.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got the first 2, so 1 not too bad to give over EDG as they do get it, especially if Aluka, who did not have his teleport, can keep pushing here. looks to get the turret here. Koro can get there quicker if he needs to because his teleport's just about to come back up, but we'll see how badly he wants to defend the turret. He's actually run most of the way there already.
Koro, after soloing out Mystic with just the Skirmisher Saber, has actually looked to focus on tank items. That doesn't mean that we won't see a Trinity Force coming through, but it means the item timing will be late. And Koro, if he goes full tank, then I have to say your initial premise is probably correct. If he goes no Trinity Force, I do not see how EDG will have enough damage in a team fight.
We'll see how Koro does keep going as we've got another swap back here. Braum and Urgot. Apparently, Def just wants to be wherever the Scion is if Dragon isn't available.
And at this point, when Dragon's down, I mean, EDG, there's go top. Maybe they know something about the weather, the food, we don't know. But the minion line must be tastier in top because that's where EDG go.
Yeah, they've stuck there for a while. Def, good CS, actually slightly ahead of Mystic, who's doing just fine here on the Lucian there as well, as Infinity Edge has been completed already. You with the Athenes and Shie Warder plus Arm Guard, so moving in for possibly an early Zhonya's. And other than that, looking down, it's actually not that many major items have been completed. In EDG, about 2,000 gold ahead, mostly due to some global turret gold here and a couple of extra kills. But now Spirit might be caught out here. Clearly, they're not going to throw the ulti. Nunu actually above him as Koro comes in as well, but Spirit just walks away.
And Koro didn't have to teleport, so he's just using the Devastating Charge to see what was happening. She is about 200 gold away from completing the Zhonya, so they definitely don't want to opt into a fight right now if Water League can avoid it. That'll be a big item timing. Even if he gets swapped again, it's almost a Karthus situation if you swap in the Vladimir, because again, can throw on that Hema play, apply the stasis, has another stasis option with the Sanguine Pool, and then there's so much consistent AoE magic damage.
Some interesting stuff from Koro, almost baiting Spirit there to try and dive in with the help of Conan's Nautilus, but does back away, gets some creeps, and then moves back in towards this side of the jungle, just sort of pruning the bottom side of the map here, making sure the wave doesn't get too aggressively far forward to the turret, but again, settling in for quite a bit of farming between Dragons, who had pretty slow landing phase, to be honest.
It has been fairly quiet, especially for an Urgot game where you expect early aggression. We've got Jungle Gragas coming through, of course, can push people out. Then the swap comes in. You can see the CC chains that can come through if he's ganking for Def's lane, but that hasn't been the way this game. So, as you mentioned, surprisingly quiet. Def, though, about 50 mana away from the Mirror Mana transformation. It will be around 21 minutes. Good time to fight.
Real solid there, and a last Whisper completed for Def straight up after the Brutalizer. So we see this build quite a lot. Sometimes Urgots get there a little late, but good timing here for Def. So if EDG want to fight, they have a very good window too now.
At this point, he can even kill Scion. That's the big consideration. With the early Last Whisper, the high base damage on the Asset Hunter, this build is usually just going to be about killing the front line. So it'll be interesting to see, given that he has a frontline killing build, how does he use the ultimate? Is he trying to just swap in any target? At this point, are they happy to get a pick on Spirit and just mow him down in the front line? Or is he still looking for a priority target with that ultimate? I guess it's unclear.
I guess we'll see as Shie does have his Zhonya's Hourglass now as well, so went back and completed that. Aluka finished a nice quick Frozen Heart, just used the Cinder as a transitional item there. Didn't bother going for the full Sunfire just yet. Koro eats a minion there to the face. Good throw there by Aluka.
But the longsword in the inventory does tell you that at least Phage is coming through. So Trinity Force on the menu, but 35-40 minutes, that's going to be the Trinity Force completion.
Yeah, I like the Cal a lot against Scion, the regen especially. Just helping, I think, I feel like against Cinder champions in general. And 3 members for EDG here in mid. Apparently used not enough wave clear on the Lulu, but Def has the transform. I think he's a little bloodthirsty right now.
The scary thing is the item timings on Xia are actually better than the ones coming through from you. He's just working towards a Zhonya's or perhaps even the Luden's Echo, but doesn't have a big item purchase compared to the Zhonya's being completed by Xia, which is such a massive burst in power, allows you to dive so effectively. As the double escape summoners, they're going to be double initiation summoners, you have to think, in the next fight, especially with the Zhonya's complete.
Good barrel there from Clearlove, just some damage onto Conan, bit of poke, they're going to go aggressive, Conan gets knocked up, Aluka and Spirit though coming in, Mako goes down instantly to Mystic as Clearlove's going to get knocked up as well. There's the Culling coming through, good amount of damage as Clearlove gets Wild Growth as they run away. Koro has ported in, but he's not quite done enough here. Clearlove going to get knocked up, Def somehow kills Mystic, and now Hecarim gets onto Nautilus, and Shia is going to go down as well. EDG turn it around right on top of Aluka, going to look to kill the Scion as well, and it slows for days. He flashes away, but EDG a 3-1 win.
The target selection so on point from Deft in particular. With the Terra Capacitator Max, okay, you don't have quite as much percentage armor reduction, but damned if you're not effectively tanky, especially with the massive mana pool. There's the Mirror Mana completed, but sniped away Mystic in between 2 tanks. That's pretty good. I wouldn't have thought Urgot mechanics would be something to praise, but they're on point.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We saw his Urgot towards the end of the split, and for once with Deft, what not unimpressed, but just not that wowed. He usually wows us any champion he plays, so let's see it again.
So we watched the replay. Conan gets massively DPS'd out. The first Noxious Corrosive Charge, the E from Urgot does hit. So Conan's out of the fight. It's a really nice 3-man Hemoblade coming through, but they're tanking, and Korra in particular is super tanking the fight. He only activates the W at the end of the fight to tank it up, but watch this Noxious Corrosive Charge. Snipes onto Mystic with the AoE magic damage. When he's dead, the damage is just not there from Mystic, and even though Mystic didn't use the pull early, the Terrify really punishes him for that. And EDG fighting as a 4-man unit, the target selection on point, and a great team fight for EDG.
Yeah, and a good little win there as far as gold goes now as well. About 3,500 gold ahead, so not a massive lead. Dragon back in 5 seconds, though, could potentially look to equalize the objective. But Shie already found Clearlove getting his poke in, but this has got to be one of the weirdest team comps I've seen EDG run.
It's such a super tanky team comp. Look at this. Win a team fight by a Spectre's Cowl. That's what Def does after that fight. We already know it's a Spectre's Cowl on top. The Aegis is coming through from Braun. The magic resist is obscene on the side of EDG. And maybe Vladimir just won't be able to DPS through. He doesn't necessarily build a Void Staff early. It hasn't gone for the Abyssal Scepter Rush. And suddenly, everyone has got over 100 magic resist on the side of EDG.
Yeah, and Corrin making up for a bit of damage after that fight. He got a couple kills and some assists. As Aluka actually ultis way in to try and find Corrin, but will just miss there. And EDG might just go back in. The hook does land onto Mako, but he's going to run away there on the Brom. Corrin going in, moves Mystic back in. It's just too much damage as Def kills him once again. Spirit goes down for the double as Urgot goes off in. Now Shie getting kited away will kill the Brom, but goes down as well. And that's 4 kills for 1 this time.
And the super concerning thing was that Lulu wasn't even involved in the fight, got there after the first 2 kills were already registered for EDG. They take out 4. Aluka's still super healthy, but EDG, this is what they've been doing recently. Doesn't matter that's only 24 minutes. They're going to take down Baron.
I don't know about recently. EDG were doing this a lot, but certainly the last few weeks have been memorable for quick Barons here for EDG. It's just confident play. They always love to snowball their objectives, and Baron seems to be something they're comfortable doing as a team.
But the big question is, why are World Elite looking to fight? They don't have item timings, especially on Lucian, to be opting to fight. There's no static shield. There's not even a Phantom Dancer complete. It's just a Zeal completed in that fight. Aluka can take a lot of harass from you, but probably not a lot of kill pressure.
Oh, next Glittlerland's just missing. He nailed a beautiful one through a creep wave to start that CC chain. But Dragon is the next concern. You can see World Elite pretty frantically pinging on top of it right now. Aluka will start it up. We've got 3 other members of World Elite in there, so Jie, the only one missing right now.
Look at Def. He's got a Banshee Veil already. The Snowball Banshee Veil on Urgot. We don't hear those words. It wasn't the early Hex Drinker we expected, just bought a Last Whisper, now has the Banshee Veil, and suddenly even Nautilus is going to struggle to peel off that initiation.
And he actually got Merc Treads. That was what the early No Magic Mantle was for, so he is basically impossible to get out of your team once he's in.
But he can shrug off the first CC from Nautilus. Okay, there's plenty behind, but he's got the reduction in CC. He's just trying to swap in Lucian at any opportunity. They stacked Magic Resist, kill Lucian, suddenly there's no damage on World Elite's side.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that like if you dodge Dredgeline or Depth Charge, the big CCs coming through with the Veil, all of a sudden the rest of Nautilus CC, you're going to shake off with a bit of tenacity.
Okay, but let's say you're Mystic in this situation. You look at that enemy team, you see all the magic resist, and you're like, okay, I'm priority target #1. That was probably to be expected. Do you stop building your Phantom Dancer and then just build a QSS at 26 minutes with no damage, or do you just rush the QSS? I mean, there's no good decisions for Lucian in this particular. World Elite cannot look to fight, and it's kind of a genius move from EDG because they forced Mystic into multiple bad options.
Yeah, it's clever stuff. I mean, Mystic at this point is just never getting away. Even one QSS between the Greg Assault, the Hecarim, and the swap coming through for Urgot. Not to mention if he ever gets randomly tagged by a Brom ult. Mystic's not having a fun time. Shie really needs to get his items up and be a big second carry, but that will take a while.
And we had all these questions at the start of the game. EDG apparently had the test answers coming through, because eventually, you know the QSS is coming soon. It'll be like, okay, Urgot can't get me now. You know what else is coming soon? The Home Guards are complete, the Skirmisher Saber is complete, the Trinity Force is just around the corner. Hecarim doesn't care about no QSS. He's just going to kill you in the back line.
Yeah, he's just going to get straight in there. As EDG sieging with the Urgot comp. I guess Baron buff helping out quite a bit there. I love Clearlove's positioning there as well. Just up to the side. Probably not even looking for initiation. Just being like, you walk in, I'm barreling you out.
And look, he's just looking to pump that KDA over 11. He's got no deaths this game as usual here for Clearlove. I don't know how he does it. They keep winning. It's not like he's being a princess and not dying during these fights. He gets right in the middle. He just never dies.
No, apparently not here. I mean, the big tanky Gragas may be helping us. He's just finished a Spirit Visage from the jungle on top of Merc
Happy
Tread,
hour has
Cinderhulk.
got longer, pastry time.
Yes, it has. It's been extended for a fairly long period of time. I mean, clearly at this point, you look at the health bar, over 3,000 health already.
Over 3,000. I mean, Sion's getting tanky himself, but a lot of that tankiness undone by the early Last Whisper. I don't know how they do it, EDG. They can pick low damage comps. On paper, some of their comps, you just scratch your head and think, how's this going to work? But with the Trinity Force completed on Hecarim especially, and just the smart team fights. And World Elite, again, they chose to team fight in the mid-game when they didn't need to, when they were at least even in Dragons and Structures, suddenly find themselves in a 10,000 gold disadvantage. And the late-game situation where Mystic has 4 items and a QSS, it's 15, 20 minutes away.
Maybe even longer. It's just a long way away, unfortunately, for World Elite. Deft and Mecha will team up down the bottom side of the map and look to get some of these minion waves down. 5-0 and 7 though is Deft. I said that he's got the first few items was not that impressive, but he's, as usual, changed my mind already.
And this is always the champion that Deft used to hover in Champion 6. Everyone has their favorite. If it's Teemo, if it's Karma, if it's Eve. Deft always used to hover Urgot. Urgot's in the meta. We shouldn't be surprised. It is Urgot. It's just fine.
Yeah, it's looking good here. It seems to have really brushed up moving into playoffs as well. And Lulu's been great as well. He's on point with the Glitterlands geometry as well. And just being annoying here on the Lulu, the perfect utility for, again, what's a very weird low-ish damage, but CC just avalanche almost.
And the most surprising thing to me is that, from what we understand, Pawn was only found to be unable to play earlier today. So this is a very late substitution. That's why they lose their 3 bans in the first game, is because, again, the team lists were already submitted. It was Pawn that was supposed to be playing. They can just bring on you, who's not Pawn. He's not, I'm going to lock in Fizz, I'm going to lock in these oddball picks. I'm the big carry in the mid lane, high kills, high deaths, lowest KDA on the team, but very effective player, very cerebral player. Instead, they bring in you. He goes for a wave clear champion, and EDG, they just get it all together in the first 20 minutes and completely on top of the game. You have to be such a settled lineup. You have to have such great communication in a multi-language organization to be able to put forward in a playoff final where you could think the world was conspiring against you when your star mid laner couldn't play, and look this good. Yeah,
I mean, EDG's, their team chemistry and general synergies looked magnificent all season long. So I agree, an incredibly impressive, very swift substitution they've made here. And right now, just kind of putting the screws into World Elite, pushing a couple of different lanes, basically rotating different people between bot and mid, just trying to catch some people in transition. Plenty of defensive wards down. I love the siege pink there just in the back of the base to clear out any of the aggressive vision over the wall. But EDG, it might take a while, but eventually they'll be able to take the turrets.
They have good turret damage. They do not have good siege. There's the initiation.
Aluka's trying to initiate. Mako blocking so much of the culling. Ulti to disengage, and Shia gets swapped in immediately. Exhausted down as well. Now Korra's in the backline. Mystic getting chased down by Deft and goes down instantly with the Hecarim combo. Yu is dead, but Mystic's down as well. Shia's going to fall, and World Elite suddenly no damage here as Aluka trying to get in, but he can't even kill Mako. The heal will keep the support alive. Gragas gets a double kill of all champions, and EDG another 2-1 win.
And the champion pool definitely tipped the hand for EDG. Stack Magic was just kill Mystic first, and there's no damage left, even when we're talking about a Vladimir in the late game with 3 items, a Void Staff completed. It just doesn't matter in EDG. They always impress us. They find new ways to do so, and even though it looked on paper it didn't have damage, they just have to do more damage than their opponent.
Exactly, or just, yeah, I mean, if that means tanking all the magic damage because that's all they have after you kill Lucian, sure, and Mystic, he looks very unhappy.
He looks perturbed, and there's not much to think about this game. What can he do on Lucian? That's the issue, is that everyone has his name written in blood on their chest and dive in to kill him. And again, there's just so much peel. Even Nautilus has no answer to all the initiation coming through. Once again, and a member was split away from the fight. Korra got there very, very late, just in time to kill Lucian, of course. And the fight went to EDG.
I mean, low damage might have been a thing as far as compositions go, but EDG are trying to shore up those weaknesses where they can. Korra has done with his Trinity Force, has a Frozen Heart now as well to go along with the rest of his items. Dev just finishes more of Malmortius, so not too bad. We've seen he's done considerable damage to Lucian, especially when he's been able to get on top of him. We've even got a Sheen here actually coming through for Clear, then that might be an Iceborne Gauntlet.
Iceborne Gauntlet has been the favored offensive item coming through from the Gragas. Again, even more CC on a kit that already has, I believe, 3 slows. Or it feels like 3 slows on the kit. Lichbane coming through from Lulu just to help with a bit more damage in fights. I mean, the interesting thing to me is that at this point, Urgot, he basically takes no magic damage at all. Even consistent damage is going to tickle him, and then suddenly a 400 damage magic damage shield coming through from the more Malmortius, and again, his AD goes up as he lowers in health. World Elite, they're posturing around the Baron, but I don't think they want to fight anytime soon, and that's all they're going to get.
No, just clearing vision right now. Spirit, unfortunately, on top of what is ClearLove. Going to eat a hook, but Mako dives into the front line as well. She going to get aggressive. Koro going straight into the back line, right on top of Mystic. They peel off Xie and kill him. Koro will actually just get the kill. 1v4. Aluka getting stunned as well. Koro still hanging out on the backside because at this point, nobody on World Elite can do enough damage. 3 kills for 0. No death necessary this time, and Aluka dead as well. Make it 4.
EDG are just ahead of the meta, Patreon. They understand that they can look to move Urgot and Braum out of a 2v2 against Lucian and Nautilus, just because even though that laning matchup is a terrible one for Lucian, in the late game, Hecarim with the challenging smite, with the Trinity Force, will always deal with an AD carry, even if it's Lucian who's pretty damn slippery. And despite the fact that their early rotations looked a bit questionable, getting guaranteed jungle farm in the 1v2, allowing a Hecarim without flash to just pop into lane, push it up, go into the jungle, get some monsters, then come back. He hits an item timing, and then the enemy AD carry, bye-bye, you're dead.
And Mystic at the end, they look like hit by a bus or a pony or something. He had struggles there in that game.
It's a robot unicorn pony.
Yeah, true. And I have to think of all the preparation that World Elite did, I don't think they expected that team comp.
I mean, they probably should have expected the Hecarim. Shown it twice already in the last week after no Hecarim whatsoever. You could tell. Koro didn't prioritize the Hecarim when it was Ignite Teleport. Suddenly, this old Teleport Smite comes through, and EDG really liking the Hecarim. You can see why.
Yeah, we'll see if it draws a bad next game, because World Elite have to regroup here as we move through.